Welcome to a series of video essays based off a premise my dad tried to teach me over 50 years ago. And it went something like this. I can't really get to his voice, but I'm going to try. Son, nobody ever promised you life was going to be fair. So just deal with it. Yep. Sorry. Life just ain't fair. If life was fair, I would have been given the hoops ability of Michael Jordan, and whoever had the more desire to be a better NBA player would have made more money. Yep, life ain't fair. Deal with it. Okay, so what's that mean? As I've looked back over my life, it means that I look back at my youth and my upbringing, and I realize I was fed a whole lot of myths, rules, truisms, fantasies that if you live your life by and you follow, everything will be peachy keen and you'll be happy at the end. And maybe a whole bunch of us end up realizing at the end that maybe we could have been more, but why weren't we? Because these rules, truisms, myths, fantasies that we were fed and told to live by are not followed by everybody. There's a segment of the population that realizes that if they don't follow those rules, they can get way ahead. And the rest of us kind of go, why are those people who didn't follow the rules way ahead? What happened? We were told that if we played by the rules, everybody would play by the rules. But guess what? Life isn't fair. Not everybody plays by the rules. Or the rules just aren't sometimes valid either. They're fantasies. So where am I going with this? I'm not saying that we stoop down to somebody's level when they're not following the rules, but I'm saying more that we acknowledge, they might not be following a rule that I'm taking for granted. Therefore, I'm going to simply adjust my approach to counter the different direction they're coming from, or going to ignore the fantasy, such as the fantasy we feed young girls from the age of 2 on up about the ideal female body image that is unattainable by more than 10 to 15% of the population. That lead to disorders like anxiety, depression, and eating disorders such as bulimia and anorexia. So where am I going with this? I want to highlight a bunch of these rules, myths, fantasies that are outdated, outmoded, or just don't apply, and that I think we need to discard. And a bunch of these rules, myths, and fantasies that there's a certain proportion of the population telling us slyly, oh yes, if you follow these, you'll be fine. Well, they're not following them and taking advantage of us. So these are my observations as a white man who's seen and heard and embarrassingly taken part in a couple of conversations that aren't allowed to happen outside of privileged ranks. Therefore, these videos are meant to be a series of short video essays on things I wish I'd known up to 30, 35 years earlier, and that I want to share in a series of short, less than 6-minute video essays. Anything more, I think, would qualify as ponderous, erudite, ivory tower university progressivism, or rambling middle America think tank conservative preaching that pokes some holes in some of these myths, rules, and fantasies that we either hold so dear or we think that if we follow them, we'll be okay. So I'm just going to go try to have some fun doing some rule fantasy myth busting society style.